Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Dandats. Are you able to hear me?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranams, Prabhuji. We can hear you.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
Very glad to see you, Prabhuji, after so a very long time.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna,
Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranams, Prabhuji. I
Hare
am
Krishna.
host also, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Happy Ekadashi to all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vijay
Hare Krishna.
Ekadashi to all.
Hare Krishna. Dhanya Dhameshwari Mataji, shall I make you host to go live? You can make me co-host.
Prabhuji, I have done go live.
Oh, go live. Okay, okay, fine. So let's start with the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye. Nashtapraeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jata Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vamcha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji's Mataji's welcome you all to today's
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Pranam,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Pranams,
Krishna
Prabhuji.
Dandas.
Pranams, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Dandas.
Dandavat pranams, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavats. Happy to be amongst all of you after Hare Krishna. Happy to be amongst all of you after quite a long, and today is a very special day. Today is Ekadashi, on which we are getting to discuss this very important portion of Srimad Bhagavatam, which has a lot of teachings for a practicing devotee. So specifically, we are seeing portion of Bhagavatam from Canto 6, Chapter 17, in which Mother Parvati, there is some misunderstanding between this devotee Chitraketu, who has specifically been blessed by Lord Vishnu, and Mother Parvati, and how Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us different aspects of importance of Vaishnava etiquette, following Vaishnava etiquette and taking care not to transgress Vaishnava etiquette at any point in time. And ultimately, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the summary, this chapter concludes in glorification of the Supreme Lord and his devotees. So Lord Shiva actually glorifies the position of Chitraketu to Mother Parvati. So let's go through the text first. Text 10. Please try to recite. Iti atat virya vidushi
Iti atad virya vidushi
bru bruvani bhavashobhanam
bruvani bhuvashobhanam
rushaha devi drushtaya
rushahadevi drushtaya
nirjitatma abhimanine.
nirjitatma abhimane.
Anybody would like to read through the translation and purport?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes,
I will do, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Madhu Mai Krishna Kanta Mataji, you can read through the translation, and
Hare Krishna.
Surya Prakash Rao Prabhuji can read through the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Not knowing the prowess of Lord Shiva and Parvati, Chitraketu strongly criticized them. His statements were not at all pleasing, and therefore the goddess Parvati, being very angry, spoke as follows to Chitraketu, who thought himself better than Lord Shiva in controlling the senses. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Surya.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat
Hare-
pranams.
Hare-
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Although Chitraketu never meant to insult Lord Shiva, he should not have criticized the Lord, even though the Lord was transgressing social customs. It is said, Tejya Sam na doshaya. One who is very powerful should be understood to be faultless. For example, one should not find faults with the sun, although it evaporates urine from the street. The most powerful cannot be criticized by an ordinary man or even by a great personality. Chitraketu should have known that Lord Shiva, although sitting in that way, was not to be criticized. The difficulty was that Chitraketu, having become a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, Sankarsana, was somewhat proud at having achieved Lord Sankarsana's favor and therefore thought that he could now criticize anyone, even Lord Shiva. This kind of pride in a devotee is never tolerated. A Vaishnava should always remain very humble and meek and offer respect to others. Ganesha Prabhuji,
Yeah,
Hare
yeah.
Krishna. Huh?
Runadapi
Runadapi
Shunichena
suniteva
Shunichena
tarodapi sahi Vishnu
Tarorapi.
amanina manadena kirtaneya sada Hare. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. A Vaishnava should not try to minimize anyone else's position. It is better to remain humble and meek and chant the Hare Krishna mantra, the word uh, Nirjita.
Yeah, Nirjitatma Abhimanine.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhuji. Indicates that Chitraketu thought himself a better controller of the senses, that Lord Shiva, although actually he was not. Because of all these considerations, Mother Parvati was somewhat angry at Chitraketu. Hare Krishna,
Thank
Prabhuji.
thank you,
Very
Prabhupada.
Dhanyavadal Pranamas.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki
Ki
jai.
Jai.
So here we see that Chitraketu, now he has been elevated to the Vidyadhar Loka after receiving the grace of Lord Vishnu, and earlier in his previous life going through so many tribulations to ultimately reach the platform of self-realization. And he is not an ordinary personality. Srimad Bhagavatam explains that he is accompanied by the beautiful ladies of the Vidyadhar Loka, and all of them are glorifying the Supreme Lord Vishnu while traveling in space in the spaceship. And at that time, on this specific mountain that he is hovering over, he sees Lord Shiva in a very peculiar uh, condition, which he did not. Bhagavatam clearly mentions that Chitraketu Maharaj did not intend to insult Lord Shiva. Actually, he wanted to glorify Lord Shiva by saying, who other than Lord Shiva can there be a personality who is able to teach the importance of renunciation while still embracing his wife in the assembly of so many great saintly personalities. But the way he decided to glorify Lord Shiva was not very much appreciated by Mother Parvati, because it apparently seemed like criticism of Lord Shiva in the earlier verses. And we see that specifically, whenever Lord Krishna observes any small vestiges of pride within the heart of his devotee, Lord Krishna does not tolerate pride in the heart of his devotee. He immediately arranges for the situation to rectify that vestiges of pride that are there. Like we see in the case of Indra, when he became proud, Krishna arranged for the Govardhan Leela just to defeat and crush the pride of Indra, so that that anartha does not become an impediment for the devotee to progress in his or her life. So we see here Chitraketu Maharaj, he transgresses the etiquette by criticizing the behavior of Lord Shiva. And Srimad Bhagavatam explains that for such great devotees like Lord Shiva, who is the spiritual master of the whole entire world, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, they are compared to the fire. So fire, even if it takes something impure in it, it has the power to consume that impure thing and still not get affected by it. Or the example is given that of a sun, which can evaporate even a contaminated thing like urine from a common place and still not get impacted, affected by it. So personalities like Lord Shiva, they also are like that. They are never to be criticized, even if apparently there is some behavior from their side which is not as per the normal norm. So Mother Parvati, understanding this pride within the heart of Chitraketu, that he has the audacity to correct and criticize even a great personality like Lord Shiva, in the subsequent verses we will find that she is upset and she says that as if other great personalities who are supposed to be the guardian of religion, including Lord Brahma, Narada Muni, Bhrigu Muni, and the four Kumaras, and so on and so forth. Have they stopped doing their duty properly of taking care of religion, that this impudent person has the audacity to criticize and correct my Lord and husband, Lord Shiva. So she becomes very upset, and subsequently we would see that she would curse Chitraketu Maharaj. But more important is also how does Chitraketu Maharaj own up his own mistake. This is another great aspect of a devotee's personality, to understand that we have made a mistake and to rectify that mistake, not try to cover it up by committing subsequent mistake. And in the concluding portion of this particular chapter, we see Lord Shiva glorifies Chitraketu Maharaj for his exemplary behavior of owning this mistake, even if it meant that he would need to take his subsequent birth in the body of a demon. So we see this aspect of Vaishnava etiquette very, very important. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the whole of Chaitanya Charitamrita is especially meant to show that important aspect of Vaishnava etiquette. How do devotees and the Supreme Lord deal amongst themselves? How they deal with each other. So in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life, there comes a very important uh, and beautiful incident which teaches a very important lesson. When a great devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Sanatan Goswami, once he came from Vrindavan to Jagannath Puri to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Charitamrita describes how Sanatan Goswami followed a specific path from Jharkhand forest, where he happened to drink contaminated water from a water reservoir, which resulted in infection in his body, where the boils were formed in his body and they were terribly filled and painful and filled with pus and everything. And and Sanatan Goswami, he, out of his humility, he did not want to go in front of Jagannath temple, where there are so many servitors of Jagannath constantly coming in and out and contaminate them. And he decided to stay at Srila Haridas Thakur's place called Siddhabakul in Jagannath Puri for that time. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, daily morning he used to come to meet Haridas Thakur and Sanatan Goswami. And while Sanatan Goswami was resistant because of his contaminated body, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to personally go and forcibly embrace Sanatan Goswami. And whatever the fluids that were formed in those boils and all on Sanatan Goswami's body, they used to uh, touch the transcendental body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sanatan Goswami was very, very sorry for doing this to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu unwillingly. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to forcibly embrace him. So what happened? One devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jagadananda Pandit, who happens to be Satyabhama in Krishna Lila. So he offered a suggestion to Sanatan Goswami that maybe you should consider going back to Vrindavan, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is insisting on embracing you every single day, and because of that embrace, his transcendental beautiful body also gets covered with these fluids and all, which are abominable coming out of the body. So Sanatan Goswami, he says, yes, that is a very good suggestion. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and considers following it, but when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to know that Jagadananda Pandit has advised to Sanatan Goswami that he should go back to Vrindavan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu becomes very upset and angry with Jagadananda. He says, Sanatan Goswami, he is such an exalted devotee. He is fit to be the spiritual master of the entire world. Not just that, he is fit to be spiritual master of me as well. Of course, that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorifying Sanatan Goswami. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, who is this Jaga, the neophyte, impudent boy who has the audacity to give advice to Sanatan Goswami? And when Sanatan Goswami hears of this strong chastisement by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Jagadananda Pandit, Sanatan Goswami is, typically if we are in his place, we would feel very elated. Look how great Chaitanya Mahaprabhu considers myself and how he has chastised the other devotee. But Sanatan Goswami feels very sad, and he hangs his head in down, and he says, my dear Lord, because Jagadananda Pandit is very dear to you, you're offering him the ornament of your chastisement and scolding to him because he is very dear to you. You love him very much. But because I am an outsider, you are glorifying me. Of course, that is out of his humility that Sanatana Goswami says that you are glorifying me and not letting me follow the advice of this devotee. So the point is, there are so many important aspects of Vaishnava etiquette to be learned from all these incidences. Like I've noted few, how we should not judge behavior of a senior devotee, even if it apparently seems to deviate from the norm. If we have any doubt, we can contact the senior authorities and let them decide. But it should not be our prerogative for our good of our own spiritual life to not criticize senior devotees. Then we also see how this criticism by Chitraketu Maharaj, Lord Shiva was completely unaffected. He remained steady. He just smiled. But Mother Parvati, she was not very pleased by this criticism. We see the wisdom of Chitraketu Maharaj in owning up the mistake and subsequent punishment that is meted out by Mother Parvati. And we see how Lord Krishna specifically takes care to not let pride come up in the heart of his devotee. And ultimately the importance of not transgressing the Vaishnava etiquette. We'll give one small example and then we'll have maybe 2 minutes for question answer. We also see when Lord Krishna concluded his pastimes on the earthly planet, specifically he wanted to instruct Uddhava and he wanted to meet one more great devotee of his, which was Vidura. But Vidura happened to go to different places of pilgrimage because of having driven out of his home and palace by Duryodhana after insulting Vidura. So Lord Krishna could not meet Vidura, but he left a message for Vidura with Uddhava. And at that time happened to be a personality, Maitreya Maharshi, who was not even on the platform of pure devotional service, but on the Jnana path at that point in time. But because of association with Lord Krishna, Uddhava, and hearing in that association, he was elevated to the highest platform of devotional service. So when finally Uddhava and Vidura happen to meet with each other, and Vidura is very devastated to know Lord Krishna has concluded his pastime, and that Krishna wanted to specifically meet with Vidura before his departure. Vidura is heartbroken and he is very eager to hear from Uddhava whatever message Krishna has left with him. But what does Uddhava do? He does not directly address Vidura because he says that Maitreya Maharshi has also heard this message, and in age he is very senior in terms of his age. Although on the platform of devotional service, Uddhava is much more elevated. So in order to not to transgress the Vaishnava etiquette, he says not to do Maryada Vyatikram, transgressing the Vaishnava etiquette. It would be proper for you to hear of Lord Krishna's message from Maitreya Maharshi, and you can proceed to Badrikashram to meet Maitreya Maharshi. So we see from the lives of these great personalities how important it is for us to protect our own spiritual life by not transgressing the Vaishnava etiquette. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, if you want to go back home, back to Godhead, minimum just 2 conditions are sufficient. One is to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and second, not to criticize a devotee or not to transgress Vaishnava etiquette. And last statement, very beautiful, coming from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vaishnava etiquette is an ornament that makes a devotee beautiful in the eyes of the Lord. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's statement. So if we want to be seen as beautiful in the eyes of Lord Krishna, we should also follow these etiquettes very, very seriously. So with this, we will conclude Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna. Are there any questions, comments, or thoughts on this important aspect? Hare Krishna. All right. So, Hare Krishna. Yes, Subbarao Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji.
it is actually a reflex action on behalf of Chitraketu to see something
Extraordinary.
unwarranted
Mhm.
in Shiva's that embracing Parvati.
Mm.
So in that by reflex action, something odd he might have just observed. And is it so thing for such a devotee to be punishable in such a way?
Yeah, very nice question. So it was a odd situation that Chitraketu Maharaj observed. However, Bhagavatam mentions that he should have understood the position of Lord Shiva. He is not an ordinary personality. He is completely in control of his senses. This is one thing. Second thing, even if that action was not as per the normal norm, as Bhagavatam mentions, for such a great personality, they should not be judged or even worse, corrected. Correcting such a personality definitely is inviting trouble. So specifically, Parvati will clarify in the subsequent verses. It is not that he is the only one who understands what is religion, a religion. There are great authorities like Lord Brahma, Narada, Bhrigu, four Kumaras, and so on. So definitely they are at a much higher position than Chitraketu Maharaj. So if there is some anomaly, such great authorities are fully capable of dealing with it. But it is not position of anyone and everyone to criticize great authorities. That is the point, Prabhuji. So even if something is not right, person can probably clarify with senior authorities, but not have the audacity to directly correct by themselves. Is that all right, Subbarao Prabhu?
That means whenever we see any senior most devotee or something, and we definitely have observed that person crossing the four principles and all that, we should also keep quiet.
See, crossing four regularity principle is a different aspect altogether, because that is a breach of the underlying very skeleton of devotional service. In that case, we can report to another senior authority who have that adhikar, over this great personality. But definitely for the protection of our own Krishna consciousness, if we value our spiritual life, which is very very tender, that it can get damaged by transgression of Vaishnava etiquette. So to protect our own spiritual life, we should avoid criticizing. There are other ways to deal if the transgression is severe, the way you mentioned, breaking the four regulatory principles. But that should be done through the right authority and not by ourselves.
We
Okay?
should not say
We should
anything to
not.
anyone.
Yeah, that is the safest. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says why? Because unless we have adhikar, like say somebody is a parent to the child, or husband to the wife, or mother to the child, then definitely it is their duty to lovingly, that too very lovingly. But if we don't have that adhikar over that person, we should stay away from criticizing.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Surya Prakash Rao Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranams.
Dandavat Prabhuji.
If you take things into stock, why that Shiva should sit like that in the Sabha with so many rishis and all that saints are there? And but it looks as though Krishna's plan, because the great Vaishnava like Chitraketu, for a minute he has forgotten that he is commenting on Shiva, Mahagnani, na Prabhuji. Is it not Krishna's plan?
Definitely, it is Krishna's plan, but there is one very nice statement that comes in Chaitanya Charitamrut, where it is mentioned, Tanra Vakya Kriya Mudra Vigena Na Bhujaya. That means sometimes the actions of the great personalities are difficult to understand and judge by others. So it's best not to judge the actions of
Okay.
the great personalities. That is
Okay.
important point. And coming back to Lord Shiva, see, he maybe having his wife Mother Parvati sit on his lap or embrace, but he has that capability that even while he is in that position, not to let his mind get titillated or disturbed even in the slightest of manner. Or in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime, we see another great devotee, Srila Ramananda Rai. He personally decorating the Devadasis of Lord Jagannath with his own hand, decorating their bodies and all. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he showed other devotees the example of Ramananda Rai to say that we cannot imitate actions of such great souls. At the same time, we cannot judge or criticize the actions of such great souls because they are great personalities, and for protection of our own Krishna consciousness, important to not judge or imitate them.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the clarification.
Hare Krishna. So if there are no other queries, then thank you all very much, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, and wish you all a very happy Ekadashi and blissful chanting of the holy name. Vamcha kalpa tarubhyascha krupa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Vaishnav Thakur ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
ధన్యవాదాలు.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.